Hey guys, it's your host Jaycee. Welcome to Queries of a Newborn Christian, the podcast where my faith is new, my questions are endless, and my curiosity could be considered my spiritual gift. Think of this podcast as Christianity 101, but with more laughs, constant detours, and a lot of confusion on my end. Grab your drink and come join me as I grow in my walk with Jesus. Normally, Heidi and I open with funny stories, but I'm not going to demand that of you. Unless you had a funny story you like to share about your family or your boys.
Oh man, I'm trying to figure out what's funny and what's humiliating. What if I close us out on a funny story?
Sure. Okay.
There we go.
Sounds
Leave
good.
something to be desired.
Okay. Well, today is our first episode with a guest that is not Heidi. And what's your name?
Hello, friends. My name is Emily.
You're like, this is
and
awkward.
I want so much to be Heidi that I was born on the same day as her.
You all share a birthday, which is kind of crazy.
How lucky are you?
Me?
Two of your favorite people are born
yes.
on the same day.
Yeah, you're like, I walked you right into that one and you didn't even see it. Okay, so your name is Emily. Do you want me to introduce you, or do you want to introduce yourself?
I've never heard you introduce me, so I'd love for you to do that.
Okay. This is my friend Emily. We met at PWAC, which is the Protestant Women of the Chapel here in lovely Alabama at the Army base that we're at. She is from South Carolina. She is a Gamecock fan, which is my least favorite thing about her.
Watch it.
She is married to her husband. Are you fine if I say his name?
Yes.
Okay. She's married to her husband, Tyler, and they've been married for 9 years in April, which you got about 3 years on me and my husband. You're going places. You're almost to 10.
That's almost. And we already are getting gray hair, so we're off to a great start.
You have 2 boys, ages 7 and 3. And her fun fact is, at any given time, you can find her in a thrift store or making sourdough, which she does make a mean cranberry orange sourdough, which I absolutely adore. But it makes me gain weight, so I have to have them in small quantities. But they are delicious.
No, live your life. Live your life, girl.
Okay. So, how did we meet? Do you know? Other than PWAC, how did we meet? What's the story of how we met?
Well, it is PWAC, actually. We were organizing our resource room for PWAC, and I noticed very early on that Jaycee had a strategy for organizing that room. And I am not that type of person. And so I just saw how she led the charge, and this makes sense, and this should be here. And so I noticed that, and she seemed really cool and very much like me, just kind of go with the flow.
You're really gassing me up.
Yeah, no, seriously. And so I reached out to Heidi, and I said, Heidi, like, how should I approach her? Because a lot of people will tell you I'm very extroverted, and Jaycee doesn't really give off that vibe. So I didn't want to overwhelm her. So I just decided to initiate a play date. And boy, I will say I've been on many play dates in my time and never, ever had one quite like that. So there's that. Yeah. And I'll let you take it from there.
Okay. Well, yeah, Emily texted me and was like, hey, I know we've never really talked, but would you like to go, like, take our boys on a play date? And we were like, yeah, sure. So we set up a date to go to, like, this little indoor playground gym type thing here. And my boys and I got there first. We were already in there playing, and I noticed Emily and our kids walk in the door, and I was like, oh, okay, like, I'll walk down and meet them and, say hello. And as I was walking down these stairs, I tripped, fell, missed a step, I don't even know, and I just, like, fell down the last, like, 3 stairs, and I thought I had broken my ankle. And they hadn't even made it fully. She hadn't even paid yet to actually enter the play area. And I thought I had broken my ankle. And I was like, Emily, I think I broke my leg. And so...
mind you, we've never hung out at this point. Ever.
Never.
And my kids go in to start playing, as kids do. And so they go in waiting to pay. And the lady that works there says, I think this is your friend. You're her friend. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. She's like, she needs an ambulance or someone to take her to the hospital. And I didn't see the fall. I did not know
No.
what happened.
I think I
So,
landed on my youngest that morning, but I was so like, I think I blacked out for a second because he popped up and ran away, and I was just like laying there in a daze, like,
mhm,
I'm in a lot of pain.
yeah. So then I just told my children, hey, my other friend is going to come get you, and you're going to hang out here with this kind lady that works here. And I'm going to Uber Miss Jaycee to urgent care.
Yep.
And that is where this play date changes. But that's okay.
Yep. No, we went to urgent care for me to make sure my leg was not broken. It wasn't. We're all Gucci. I tore one of my ligaments, but it wasn't broken, so we're good. But I knew you were a good egg when my youngest fell asleep with you in the urgent care, because he is a mama's boy through and through, and the fact that he allowed you to get him to sleep, I was like, I got to keep that one around, because if she can get to him, we're good.
Well, the plan of the play date was for our children to play together, but your youngest and I did a lot of pushing Hot Wheels back and forth. So that
Yeah.
was the play date, and he enjoyed it, and so did I. But for future reference, if you want to initiate a play date with a friend, just know it can go totally different than how you planned. But in the end, you could be good friends, so it's okay.
Yes, and I would like to point out, we have never made it back to that play area together again.
And it's great. I just am not, we have TRICARE, but also like, why risk it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go back.
No. It was
So
good,
that's how
though.
we met.
That is how we met. So, in preparation for this episode, I watched this video on YouTube. I was like, okay, I want to have my friend Emily on. What do I talk about other than friendship? And so I was like talking with Heidi, like, I don't know how to plan this episode. I'm not good at this. Heidi, what do I do? And she's like, Google it. It's like, okay, I'll Google it. So I Googled it, and I started to watch a few videos, and I was like, these aren't really speaking to me. So then I watched this other one, and it's called True Friendship by the Grace Bible Church. It's on YouTube, and I'll put it in the link, or I'll put the link in the description. So if you wanted to go back and listen to it, you can. But it's this pastor. I have no idea what his name is. He never introduces himself. He's just talking. But
But he's
I
really good.
thought it was really good. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it, like, I listened to it, I think 3 or 4 times in preparation for this episode. And yeah, I thought it was really good. So this episode is basically going to be you and me talking about what we learned in that video. So this pastor, he opens it up talking about, how we meet our friends, and when you're young, like, you don't really pick your friends, your parents pick your friends because that's just the people that they know, and whatever. But as you get older, you begin to pick your friends. And one of the first verses he talks about is Genesis 2:18, and it says, "Then the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him." And the pastor's point in this was that even though this is kind of talking about Adam and Eve, and they're, a couple, and you and I are not a couple, his point is that it's not good for people to be alone. We're meant to be in relationships, whether that's, your actual partner, like me and my husband, you and your husband, our friends, our community. Like, we are not meant to be hermits. We're meant to have people around us in a community and everything. So,
Well, and sometimes what that looks like is calling us out of our comfort zone to create that community. So
yeah,
within the military community, it can be isolating with how often you move and you pack
very.
up and reset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a great point that God could have put Adam on this earth and done so many things with him throughout so many chapters, but he didn't. He knew that Adam needed that partner. And whether it's romantically or if it was just giving him a friend, he did not expect Adam to endure this life on his own. So,
Right.
community in any regard is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And like Heidi loves to point out, it all starts in Genesis.
It all starts in Genesis. It's
It
literally
really
always
does.
Genesis.
But
And
it's so good.
I don't dislike the book of Genesis. There's nothing wrong with Genesis, but like at least twice in an episode, she's like, and we go back to Genesis. And I'm like, oh,
But we
fine.
do.
Can
But we do. I'm getting you a shirt that says that. Just know that,
Goes
please.
back to Genesis.
Yeah.
Well, one of the big things with that verse that he points out is this is one of the few times, but not even a few times, this is the one time that God says in the creation story where he says it is not good. You know, the light is good, the separation of light and dark is good, forming the earth is good. Like, it is good, except for this. It's not good for man to be alone. And so I think that alone is kind of a push towards, like you said, going out of your comfort zone and finding someone to be in some sort of relationship with. And it doesn't have to be romantic. Like, maybe you're 15 years old, you don't need a romantic relationship, but you do need friends.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's really what this episode is based on. Friendship. Good old friendship. And so then he moved on, this pastor, he moved on to the next verse, and he puts a lot more fluff in there. I'm really not very good at summarizing what he said, but I did write down what he said. Ish. You know.
You're doing great. You're
thanks.
summarizing it very well.
So the next thing he kind of talked about was Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. And it's kind of lengthy, so just like stick with me for a second. So, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. And I would say, in my opinion, the second half of that verse is a little like, ooh, lay down with somebody and keep warm. But I think the thought was, you know, way back then, if they're out camping in the wilderness, like, you got to snuggle to not freeze to death, sexual relationship or not.
Right. And I know we were talking about Ecclesiastes, but I did a little bit of research this morning. And when the book of Proverbs was written, it was during a time where King Solomon was the king of Israel. And this is back in a time where, like you said, it's a survival time. You'd have to keep warm. If you had a baby and you couldn't produce milk, they would host wet nurses, and other women who were able to produce milk would feed your baby. And so when you think of community and friendship, this is not a time when scripture was written where it was based off of convenience or if you felt like it or half effort. It was survival. It was, you were dependent upon knowing that someone was there, someone would meet you halfway. And I think that's just beautiful.
Right.
How that can carry over to now.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people these days kind of struggle is, you know, back then you did rely so heavily on the people around you and on your community. Like, I think we've kind of fallen, like, okay, let me just preface this. I like my space. I am not a touchy-feely person. I like, you know, a good distance between my house and my neighbors. I like my space. But that means that I tend to isolate myself. Like, the last two duty stations that we were at, I really didn't know anyone other than the people that I worked with because I didn't put myself out there to go meet people. And so I didn't really have, other than my husband, a real community where I could rely on somebody to help with my children if I was absolutely at my wit's end.
Yeah, and that's normal.
For us today, I don't think it was normal for them back then. They
didn't have a choice.
They didn't have a choice. And I think we've regressed. Society has regressed in that, you know, in that aspect because we isolate ourselves in the sake of, like, I like my space and I do it to myself.
Well,
and it's hard.
My confliction is that I love my space. Like, I'm on 100% when I'm on. And then when I go home, I want to rot by myself. But my issue and a lot of people's issues is, you know, that we move all the time and I'm never around the same group of people. So to me, just seeing you on Facebook is enough. That's catching up. But realistically, it's not intentional. Right. And so now that we have social media, we think that we're involved in people's lives and we think that we are serving them and being a community simply by liking a post of their children. But how often are we behind the scenes praying for their children or reaching out to them privately saying, I see that you're going through something. How can I best serve you? How can I help you? Right. And so we have the buffer suffer of everything being convenient for us now, that laziness becomes the first thing over how can I make myself uncomfortable for my friends? How can I be the hands and feet of Jesus, even if it's not going to be a convenience to me?
Right. And I think that goes back to, how we met. When you had to take me to urgent care with my children, you had to find a friend to come watch your boys so that you could help take care of me, who really was a stranger at that point still. And
Were you though?
I
I mean,
mean,
you were, but I knew Heidi, and I was like, Heidi,
everybody knows Heidi.
Yeah.
Everybody
People who
knows
don't
her.
know Heidi knows Heidi. It's crazy.
You have some
No, but
form of connection. But
right.
I think it goes back to like, you had to put yourself out there to take me to urgent care, find someone else for your kids, take me to urgent care, deal with my children while I was in the back, because I didn't want them back there with me either stepping on my ankle or being really stressed out that I was in pain. And even for me, it was kind of a leap of faith of like, I have to trust this person I don't really know with my children, and I don't have eyes on her.
Yeah, that was huge too. And that's another thing that I think the military life forces us to do. Like when I enrolled my son in school here, his emergency contact was me and one lady I had met twice from his baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, outside of me, you have to have someone else. And she was the only person I knew here at that point, and he had to
Right.
have a contact. And you have to trust so much in this lifestyle. But also, I think as moms, sometimes we have to just remove the layers and say, in this moment, if roles were reversed, what would I need? What would I want
Mm-hmm.
someone to do? And you just have to do that. And luckily, I'm not a Looney Tune, and your kids were fine, and you were fine, and everything's great. But when you choose to step away from convenience and you choose to say, what is God calling me to do in this moment for this
Mm-hmm.
other person? Sometimes it's that simple.
Right. No, I'm grateful that I almost broke my ankle that day, because otherwise I wouldn't have you as a friend.
We could have found other ways, right? To meet up. Like, surely there's other ways.
But would we be in the same place now? I don't know.
Probably not, I guess. Silver linings.
Yeah. Well, all that said, God says it's not good for man to be alone. God says you need friends. Two are better than one. But, this pastor goes on in his sermon and he talks about how we need to be cautious in how we choose our friends. He gave an example of, I think it was Leave It to Beaver, and like basically one of their children in this main family. I've never seen the show. I've heard of it a million times. I've never seen it.
I think it's black and white. I think
Like
maybe
old.
it's not. Maybe it's not, but I'm feeling like it is.
I'm gonna have to go watch it now. My kids could use some less stimulating shows.
Yes.
My oldest really, really loves Paw Patrol, so we gotta shift away from that. Anyway, he talks about this example where this kid is like, he has a best friend, and the best friend is just this like horrible little bratty child, and the dad is like, why are you friends with him? He's a rat. Like, he's just horrible. And he's like, well, I have to have a best friend, even if he's a rat. And it's like, but you don't. Like, we need to be cautious in how we choose our friends. So the verse that this pastor gives to kind of help further this argument is Proverbs 12:26. One who is righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. And basically what he's saying is, a righteous man is cautious. You have to be careful in who you choose as your friends, because we take on the attributes of the people that we spend the most time with. And I'll just say, for example, like my husband and I, when we met, I interacted with him more the way my friends would. I had the same mannerisms as my friends at the time. And as I stopped spending less time with him or with my friends and spent more time with my husband, my personality kind of shifted a little bit. Not that I like become whoever I'm around, but you do start to take on their attributes. Like I think the example this pastor gives was, if you're talking on the phone with someone from Texas with a really southern drawl, like you're going to naturally have your own southern drawl eventually, which I was like, that hits too close to home because I'm literally from Texas. But, I think that's kind of the idea. And like, I think another example he gave was, if you're friends, like close friends, and spend a lot of time with people who do not respect marriage, they don't respect your marriage vows, like, adultery, cheating, whatever, eventually those thoughts could get to you too. not that you would also do it, but you might start to hold resentment for your spouse because you're spending so much time with people who don't respect their own spouses.
Right. And I'm very big on teaching our children discernment because one of our children wants to be everyone's friend. He
Mm-hmm.
has such a big heart. And I remind him it is our job to be kind to everyone. It's not our job to consider everyone our friend. Those are different
Mm-hmm.
things. Kindness is required. You are to be kind, but you have to remember that. And I don't explain this to him yet. He's far too young, but when you look at something sacred like marriage, if you are surrounding yourself around people who don't appreciate their own marriage, they don't respect their spouse, whatever that looks like, if they're not speaking life into their own marriage, the enemy is going to come in and use that to his advantage because marriage is such a sacred thing orchestrated by God. And if he can get in there and pollute that by surrounding you with people who don't value that, that's
Mm-hmm.
such an easy in for him.
Right.
So it's important that we know that we are obligated to be kind to everyone and show them love. But when you consider your circle and the people you surround yourself with, you have to have the mindset of if I don't have my best interest at heart, whether it's with my finances, my marriage, my parenting, anything, do these people around me have my best interest at heart? Even if
Right.
that means telling me things I don't want to hear and we don't
Mm-hmm.
agree, do I know that at the end of it all, emotions aside, they will always have my best interest at heart that points me to the cross above all. And you
Right.
learn that with age. And you have to let some people kind of distance from you, and that's okay.
For sure.
But that's huge.
Right. And I think that's something I've personally struggled with growing up because, everybody wants to be the popular kid in high school. Even me. I was still, even then, not extroverted. I feel like I've actually come out of my shell a little bit compared to what I used to be.
You have compared to the first time I met you to
Yeah.
now.
Growth. Woohoo.
Yeah.
um, but, even then, like I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be friends with the girls that everybody liked and everything, but I was the jock, and I didn't wear skirts. I didn't wear dresses. I didn't do my hair. What you see right now with my hair back in a ponytail and a t-shirt and shorts, it's how it has always been. I was never the, quote, cool kid at school. But I tried to be, kind of. Like I wanted to be friends with them. And then, a few of them I did kind of become friends with. And then over time I realized, like, I don't really like you. Like, you're kind of mean,
Yeah.
And so like this pastor was saying, like it says in Proverbs, you have to be careful about who your friends are. Um, and then he goes on to say that the best friend that we have, the perfect friend, the perfect example of what a friend ought to be, is my main man, Jesus. He is exactly he is what we should want in a friend, right? And nobody's going to live up to Jesus, but we want to find friends who emulate him. And what this pastor said was, good friends reflect the character of Jesus, and good friends draw us closer to God, like you were saying earlier.
For our friends, I think one thing I've struggled with in marriage and with friendships is there are times that we will put unrealistic expectations on our relationships because we
Yeah.
want to have things in relationships the way Jesus displayed them to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be murky. But one thing that I think is just so crucial is despite our shortcomings, despite our sins and our efforts that we fail, if we know that the people around you pray for you, they speak life into you, into your marriage, into your motherhood, those things,
Mm-hmm.
you are easily going to weed out the ones that don't.
Right.
They don't have to be perfect. They're not going to ever be perfect. And he said something in there that I loved. He said that if we wait for perfect friends, we wouldn't even be friends with ourselves because it's just not a thing. So
Okay.
knowing that.
I told Heidi, stop convicting me, and now I'm going to tell you, don't convict me like that.
No, you and me both. I was like, oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
but it's so true. And it gives you a sounding board to know that you're not going to find a person that checks all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
If the only box they check is, I love you, I pray for you, God has great plans for you, you're going to be okay. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I check less boxes than I check. Let's be real. But I hope that my friends know that I genuinely pray for you. I genuinely see the growth in you and I
Mm-hmm.
see God working through you. So
Right.
that's where I'm at. But I'm probably not going to text you back quickly. That's just not a strong suit of mine.
I don't. I see a text message come up and I'm like, oh, who is it now?
It's probably
Especially a
me.
phone call. It is most of the time it's you. And then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, it's Emily.
I'm obsessed with you. Sorry.
Continuing on in this sermon, the pastor starts talking about how, in Proverbs, from what I understood, from what he was explaining, Proverbs was written by Solomon, and it's mostly him talking to his son because he was concerned about making sure his son chose the right friends. And so a lot of Proverbs is, like I said, Solomon talking to his son on how to choose good friends. So he gives us 5 characteristics of a godly friend, a good friend. And the first one, I'll just read all 5 of them and then we'll talk about them real quickly.
Okay.
So the first characteristic he says is good friends encourage godly character. Point 2, good friends keep confidences. Good friends respect space. Good friends give honest counsel. And the last one, good friends prove faithful in the midst of adversity. And so that's what this pastor says are the 5 points of being a godly friend. And we'll dive into those. So the first one, again, good friends encourage godly character, which you've already kind of talked about it, but we'll hit on it again. So he says in Proverbs 13:20, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. And basically that's just saying, like we've already kind of talked about, like you're subject to peer pressure at any age, whether you're 5 or 95. The people you spend time around, they influence the choices that you make. And so you really need to spend time with people who display godly attributes. And that doesn't mean you can't be friends with people who don't display godly attributes, but like you shouldn't spend all of your time with them. You should be working to help them find their way. But like the friends that you truly go to for help and guidance, they need to be these people that display, like he says, godly attributes. Like the wise become wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm.
Right. And when you're around those friends that maybe it's a coworker or a situation like that where you're not in a intimate environment of your choosing, but you are with these people by design, whatever that may be,
Mm-hmm.
if you know that they're not people who are leading you to Jesus and are keeping you on that path, be that person for them.
Mm-hmm.
Use that situation when you're with them and don't hide your faith. Don't steer away from that because when we talked about high school, I legitimately was in marching band and I was a varsity cheerleader. I alternated the years. That's how different my friend groups were.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a person that whatever group I happened to be around, I would be that group and I
Mm-hmm.
would adapt. And now as an adult, I want to always be the person I am right now is the person I'm going to be at a military ball and the person I'm going to be at the PTA meeting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can just be that consistent person that when they know, hey, I'd like someone to pray for me, I'm going to call her. Or
Mm-hmm.
I want someone to kind of explain this situation. Why would God put me through this? I'm going to call her. If you can be that to those people, you're then being a person of godly character and not only seeking those out for you, but you're being that for others.
Right. Right. And I think that goes back to some points in life where like you go through different phases where sometimes you're someone else's rock and other times that person is your rock. And, the biggest thing through it is that you, like he says, just be wise and try your best to display godly characteristics, not in that you're better than everyone else, but just like you're humble and kind and helpful. And you, like you said already, you have the best interest of this other person in mind and you want to help them. And, don't be friends with people who are going to lead you astray. Not, not those deep friendships, like just try to find people who will lead you closer to God and not further away from him.
Definitely.
So Anything else on this one?
Not really. I could chat all day. You know me.
Right.
But I'm trying to be mindful of number 3. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, you're good. Okay. All right. So then moving on, the point. This is where I pick up stuff from you, where I'm like, you make faces and you do that, and I've started doing that too. So the second point that this pastor makes, and I wish I could say his name because I don't know his name. He never said his name, and it's not in the description on the YouTube video. So
We'll find him.
I'll find him
We will
one day.
find him.
This video was from like 2015, so it's kind of old. It's like 10 years
Well,
old.
we'll get Liam Neeson involved and we'll find him for sure.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So the second point that he makes is good friends keep confidences. And he actually gives 2 different verses for this. And they sound very similar, but they're actually a little bit different. So the first one that he gives is Proverbs 11:13. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. And he made it a specific point to say, I'm not talking about helping somebody bury the body. He's talking about, don't be friends with people who deliberately spread gossip and rumors. The mean girls who you go talk to and you're like, hey, I have a crush on, so-and-so. And then they run and immediately tell people because they know you'll be embarrassed. And these friends, like, don't be friends with the people who are mean, who spread rumors, who are out to hurt you. And then the second verse he gives is Proverbs 20:19. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate with a simple babbler. And this one is very similar in that your friends aren't keeping your secrets, but it's not malicious like this first verse was. It's just that this person cannot keep a secret. They just have to tell somebody. And I think the example he gave was, oh, you're pregnant. I'm not pregnant. Let me throw that out there. That phase of life has passed. Nobody get any ideas in your heads. But the idea was, oh, you're pregnant, and you tell your friend, hey, I'm pregnant. Please don't tell anyone for a couple months until we have the opportunity to reveal it on Facebook or whatever. And they immediately go post it anyways because they just can't help it. Or they start telling people and then the word eventually gets around. And I think sometimes that's hard because we all are told secrets and you're like, oh, I just want to tell somebody. But a good friend doesn't tell anyone. And so that was point 2. Good friends keep confidences.
And I think if we learn that until God can trust us with the small things, he can't trust us with the big things.
Right.
If he can't trust me to know that my friend is pregnant or whatever that news may be, and for me to respect that secret time, how can he respect me to have a secret of my husband getting a promotion or something extravagant happening, a big life event? He has to see our trust in the small things. And that also is what will give other people discernment on, is this a godly friendship?
Right.
Is this someone that respects honesty, quiet when needed, all of the different factors that build up a good friend? Or is this someone who simply needs news to put out and I am their resource for that?
Right. And he says growth cannot occur in he says growth cannot occur in an environment in which you're afraid to share information. So and one of the points he made was, with specifically with this first verse, the Proverbs 11:13, whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirits keeps things covered. He was like, listen to the way your friends talk. Are they spreading rumors and gossip about other people to you? Because if they're spreading gossip about other people to you, more than likely they're spreading your gossip to other people. And you don't want that. And I mean, people talk. You and I have conversations about things that happen in life. Everyone does. Otherwise, information never gets spread. But I think there's a difference when you're like, hey, so-and-so cheated on their husband and blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, I had a miscarriage. And then they go and spread, they pass malicious information back and forth instead of being a good friend and counseling you through it.
I reached out to you recently because I had a situation with someone that I know, and I was looking for the best next step to take after that.
Right.
And I came to you because this also, over time, seeing how you handle things, seeing how you don't talk badly about people, led me to know that me coming to you with a legitimate concern of how do I move forward from this respectfully? How do I mend
Mm-hmm.
things? How do I do that? I knew I could come to you and it wouldn't be a moment for you to fill up your gossip cup, but
Yeah.
it would be a time for you to say, okay, this is the situation. These are the steps I feel like would be beneficial to both people involved. This is how
Mm-hmm.
I would do that. And that's two different levels of going to a friend. Are you going to a friend to fill up their gossip cup, or are you
Right.
going to a friend to learn how to navigate a situation, mend a situation, and not just look out for yourself, but the other party as well?
Right. Well, I'm glad you came to me. Yay, I'm a good friend.
Well, I have to come to you because when I go to my husband, he's like, I don't know, babe. Whatever you think's best. And it's amazing he hasn't written a self-help book, because why would you withhold such such advice and skill from the world? I just don't know. It's such a disservice that y'all don't get his wisdom.
I know.
Alarming to me.
You can write a
So
self-help book. It'll be about 2 pages long. Whatever you think is best. Signed,
the two
Tyler.
pages will be the beginning page, and
Life-changing.
then the writer's biography at the end. That'll be it. There will be no story. There is nothing to offer. Nothing at
Um,
all.
but yeah, the main point of this point that he made was, good friends keep confidences. And like I said, growth cannot occur in an environment in which you're afraid to share info. You should be able to share the things going on in your life with your friends without fear of them maliciously spreading these rumors or just spreading them because they can't keep their mouth shut. And I know both. I know people who do both.
Don't
And
we all?
it's hard because you want to be friends, you want to share information, and sometimes it's your own family. And it's hard. But, it is what it is. You got to be. I think it's one of those, if you want to be friends with people who are bad about talking, be careful in the information that you share. Withhold the things you don't want shared.
And I can tell you, I mean, you know me, I will talk to this coffee cup. I will talk to anyone at a fault. And so I did have a hard time growing up where if it was a conversation starter and it came up in conversation, yeah, let's chat, let's talk. How's
Mm-hmm.
this person doing? Or I see a Facebook post and it was, oh, I'm going to screenshot this and send this to my friend. And what do you think's going on here? And it was so wrong. And I've grown so much from that point in my life, because now I ask myself, and I hope we all do, if my name comes up in a conversation, does it make people pull back and say, I can't
Mm.
say what I was about to say? If
Right.
she's here, if she walks up, there's no way we can say something, because if we do, the whole town's going to hear it.
For sure.
You don't want that reputation.
No, you don't. Okay. Well, the next point was point 3, good friends respect space. And the verse that he gives for this made me kind of chuckle. But it's Proverbs 25:17. And you look real stressed out over there. You're like, this is my verse here.
The conviction was crazy on this one, and I'll elaborate in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so Proverbs 25:17. Let your foot be seldom in your neighbor's house, lest he have his fill of you and hate you. You're making a really beautiful face at this verse.
I'm glad this podcast has no video attached except right now for me and you.
So,
Yeah, this was a lot for me.
mhm,
This was something that I've had to learn in certain capacities. You have to, what I took from this is, do I value your time?
mhm,
That's how I see it. Because if I feel like I have access to your life, whether it be phone calls, texts, showing up, overstaying my welcome, do I value your time that you may want with your family or your boys or by yourself?
mhm,
What authority do I have to have access to you for any length of time at any point in time?
mhm.
And I've really had to work on that, because I will just call and text and what's up, girly pop? What are you doing? And take your time forever. And you're like, okay, I have to go. I have a life. Bye. So it comes down to that too. It's the interest is always good. My intentions are good. But when your friends don't respect your space, that also can translate to, do I value your time as well?
Right. And I think that's a good point. And so what the pastor says as he's kind of explaining this point was, I mean, obviously, people will get tired of you if you are around too much. And I think that's fair of anyone. That's even fair of me and my husband. Like, there are times where, you don't want him to be at work. You don't want him to be deployed. You don't want him to be in the field, from a military life aspect. And you just want him to come home. But, over HBL, which is holiday block leave over, Christmas, and it's 2 weeks of him doing nothing but being home, you're like, when are you going back to work? Would you like
Yes.
to go get groceries for me? And I'll stay here and I'll clean or I'll do something here. But you just go run some errands. So it goes for everyone, regardless of what type of relationship it is. Like, you need to have a little bit of separation. And another point that he made was, when you smother your friends, it basically tells them, I don't trust my relationship with you to succeed if I'm not around. And I don't trust God to keep you in my life if I'm not constantly there to make sure that I'm still here. Hey, Emily, I'm still your friend. I would love for you to come over. Like, hey. And you need to have separation for growth, And that last point that he kind of made with this was, the primary desire in your friendship, it shouldn't be that they are always around, which I would never, if you showed up at my door, would never turn you away. But you have to be able to have space so that they know God more than they know you.
Because while God created community in Genesis to make that known, that's important, there is still the element of knowing that at the end of the day, it is you and Jesus and that relationship above everything, above your spouse, your children, your friends. It is you and the
Right.
Lord. And if you are constantly dependent on having someone else be your crutch or being someone else's crutch, and you don't value separation and solitude and resetting with the Lord, you're not going to be able to serve well in any capacity in life.
And see, you said like you struggled with pulling back and not being in people's spaces as much. And I feel like I struggle with this as well, but not in that aspect, but more of like, I find a good friend and I cling hard. And then I get
Even
really, really hurt when that friendship doesn't work because
And that's
I'm too much.
understandable. No, it's not. I wouldn't say you're too much. I think it's easy to cling and want that consistent person. And especially when you're walking through the same season of life, it's very easy to cling because they
Right.
relate to everything.
Right.
So it's understandable. But I think as long as it's made clear there are boundaries and that is for your sake and mine, you need to make that known up front. Hey, I can't spend every Friday night with you. I have a family. We can't go
Right.
do girls' night, those types of things. Those are very healthy for all parties involved. And if it's not respected from all parties, it's probably not worth entertaining.
Right. Yeah, it's a fine line of respecting space, but also being a good friend and being there for people. And you got to find the right person to be able to do it. And especially, I would say, in this life of being a military wife, we're supposed to PCS in just a few weeks, which I know is heartbreaking for you.
We're not going to
But
talk about it. We're not going to talk about it.
we're supposed to be moving. And within like 2 months of us moving, my husband is set to deploy. And so my focus is going to have to kind of shift and be like, okay, he's my main person he will always be my main person, like actual person, but I'm going to have to find someone else that I can rely on here, but I can't rely on them all the time and overstep their boundaries and like be in their space too much. They have to find a fine line of like what is okay and what is too much. And I think a lot of that depends on the person that you're friends with, but it can be a struggle. So,
Yes, but the way you have grown and flourished and opened up, I think that will serve you so well when
thanks.
you're in that new season of needing to create friendships and be friends to people. So
Girl, I'm getting
believe
so
in yourself.
nervous. I'm so
No,
nervous. I,
none of
I
that.
told my husband and I told Heidi, like, you have to force me out the door. When we get there, if there's a pee walk that Tuesday, I don't care if it's the day after we got there, you have to make me go so I can try to start making some friends because I can't make it through a deployment on my own. I'd just lose my mind. I gotta
You will
have
not.
some friends,
You
but
will.
we'll
You will not
see.
be on your own. It's all going to work. And if it doesn't, just move back here with
Well,
me.
you're gonna be moving too. I'd move
We'll
back
work it
and you
out.
would be gone.
Fair, fair.
um, anyway, so moving on, the next point that he made, point 4, good friends give honest counsel. And I think this one kind of ties back into point 2 of good friends keep confidences. They're not the same, but I think, if you have good friends that will keep your, quote, secrets, should theoretically also be the ones that can give you advice. And that's what this kind of goes to. So he gives two verses for this point as well. Proverbs 27:6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, profuse are the kisses of an enemy. And he's basically saying here, it's better to have your feelings hurt by your friend who gives you honest input than be flattered by an enemy who doesn't truly have your best interests at heart. And then the second verse that he gives is Proverbs 27:9. Oil and perfume make the heart glad, and the sweetness of a friend comes from his earnest counsel. And this is basically saying, if your friend is giving you advice, a true friend, a godly friend gives you advice that is truthful and kind. And so those two verses kind of go hand in hand. Like, you want a friend to tell you when you have spinach in your teeth, but you don't want to be embarrassed about it. Right? Like, hey, pull them aside. Hey, Emily, you have something in your teeth. You should probably clean it so that, you're not walking around with spinach in your teeth all day. But it's not sitting at the table. Emily, dig that spinach out of your mouth and embarrass you in front of everyone.
Well, I think there's a trend. I've seen it on social media many times where there will be an image from whatever and it says, I'm the harsh friend that will always tell you like it is. And
Oh, I hate that.
there's an emphasis in today's world of like priding yourselves and being the friend that will likely hurt your feelings, but they love you. But I
Right.
think we have to understand that there's not a, like when you look at scripture, when you look at Jesus and the woman at the well,
Mm-hmm.
and Jesus never condemned her. He was never hateful to her. And he loved
Right.
her more than any of us could ever love her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you have to take in consideration that loving someone does not permit you to belittle them. That's not the
Right.
same thing. But because you love them, there may be times you hurt their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But if you approach every situation with, hey, because I love you and care about you, X, Y, and Z, and you are kind and respectful, and you understand there's a time and a place to address things and say things, then how it is received is not really up to you, but you have to approach it not from a sense of, I'm the harsh friend, deal with it,
Right.
but I love you and I'm a friend that will always have your best interest at heart. Those are
Right.
very different.
For sure. And I think it's a hard thing. Heidi and I talk about it all the time, especially like when we're going over John and the Pharisees. They don't like to be told that they're wrong. They don't like it when people point out their flaws. And nobody likes it when someone points out their flaws, right? But sometimes you need to hear it. And sometimes you see your own flaws, but it doesn't become real. You don't want to admit it, whatever, until you're told by someone you love and someone you trust, hey, this is a problem. Big or small, this is a problem. Spinach in the teeth versus I don't know. You're spending way too much money. You're going broke.
Mm-hmm.
The hard conversations, like, and you need good friends who can have those hard conversations, but they come at those conversations truthfully, with kindness, and with love and compassion, versus, like you said, that trend of like, oh, I'm just upfront and honest, and it gives me an excuse to be rude to you. Like, I'm sorry, no. If that's the friends that you have, and we're not friendship experts, we are not like psychology doctors, like nothing like that. It's just, if someone claims to give you, quote, their honest opinion because they're just straightforward, are they really your friend? Or is it just an excuse for them to be mean to you and to hurt your feelings? And sometimes your feelings do need to be hurt, but it can be from a place of love and kindness.
But I think if you go back to where we talked in the beginning about you are who you surround yourself with,
Right.
if you surround yourself with people that you know, no matter what, they're going to tell me not what I want to hear, but what I need to hear because they love me and they're
Right.
pointing me to the cross. If you know that, then when they approach you in these moments and say, hey, I just feel like I need to approach you about this. This is what's going on because I love you, blah, blah, blah. Even if your feelings are hurt, you will know at the foundation of all of it, it is only to make you better and closer to the kingdom. And that's
Right.
it. There's no underlying, there's nothing else, no other motives. It's not to give them a platform to be rude. And I will say one thing about Heidi. She's one of the few people, along with you, that if you ever came to me truthfully and said, I'm saying this because I care about you, even if I was offended in any regard, I would know more than anything, they genuinely care about me enough to make me aware of that.
Right.
Not they needed someone to pick on and I was the easiest target.
Right. And I mean, it's hard. So it's hard to be the person that's being approached with the hard truth. I'm going to throw Heidi under the bus. Sorry, Heidi. She's done it to me a few times where I actually approached her with an issue and then she told me what I didn't want to hear.
Oh, she does that to me every time.
And it was hard and it makes me mad at her. And me being a smidge petty, I like kind of stonewalled her for a few days, once or twice over the last 2 years that we've been here, because she really hurt my feelings. And then after I had a few days to chew on it, I realized Heidi would never deliberately hurt my feelings. There's not a malicious bone in her body. She loves me. This truth hurts, but I know that it comes from a place of love and, like you said, like wanting me to become closer with Jesus, closer with God, regardless of what the issue that I came to her with was.
And if you went to someone else and they just took your side and said, you're right,
Right.
they were wrong, you were right, but that's not the case, what does that do for you down the road?
It hurts you. I mean,
right.
Like you just continue to think that you're right about everything, and then push comes to shove, like, I mean, who knows what you could turn into if everyone just agrees with you. I mean, it's no different than the bratty child that gets whatever they want and the parents never discipline, and then they grow up and nobody likes you because you're just a big old butthole. You know?
Put it on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt.
A big old butthole on a t-shirt?
Yeah. Well, not a
That's
visual.
yucky.
The words, not the visual. Ma'am, this is a Christian podcast. No. But truthfully, I think I'm now 31. 31. And I have found that there are people in my life that love me, that have given me great advice about things, but there's a very, very small pool of people that I know that, aside from how much they love me and how much of a friend they are to me, they are a sister in Christ first. And they use that lens of approach. And so if you just have that discernment of they are a brother in Christ before they're anything else to me, or a sister in Christ, it's going to allow you to take whatever criticism you get and better yourself. And that is what a friendship should look like above all else.
Right. Yeah. And the last point that this pastor had made in this particular point, for point 4, good friends give honest counsel, is he said, God loves us enough to tell us the truth. Like, maybe we don't see God come down from the heavens and like look us in the face and go, you're really bad at math, you should probably work on that. Like,
I would be too much of a threat if I was good at math. Okay. I can't have it all.
He doesn't do that. But, you know, we find in time, like there are times where we find ourselves starting to struggle in certain things, and you realize that that's him working on you and growing you and molding you and everything. And so I think that's kind of what this pastor was getting at was, God loves us enough to tell us the truth, that we have work to do on ourselves. And your friends, if they're godly friends, should very lovingly and kindly, is that a word? Kindly?
It is
Kindly.
today.
It is today.
It is
Kindly
today.
tell you the truth with no malicious intent.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else
Good
on that
stuff.
point?
No, good stuff, though.
Okay. All right. Our last point of a godly friend, our last bullet point, number 5. Good friends prove faithful in the midst of adversity.
This one's my favorite.
I know. Because this was literally how it started out for us.
Yeah, well, that too. But there is more to it as well.
Right. So he gives 2 verses for this one as well. Proverbs 25:19. Trusting in a treacherous man in times of trouble is like a bad tooth or a foot that slips. And then Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So Proverbs 25:19, basically, false friends are not there when you need them. So, the example, my husband is deployed. I am deathly sick. I cannot take care of my children. Hey, can you take care of my children while I battle this horrible flu? Oh, no, sorry. I'm busy tonight. And you're my neighbor, and I look over and you're watching TV. Like, that's not a true friend. Or even something much more serious. Like, going back to how we met, our first, play date, if I thought I had broken my ankle. And if you had left me high and dry, I would have known in an instant that Emily is not worth being my friend. Like, this is not a friendship worth pursuing if she's going to leave me like this. But you didn't. You took care of me, and you took care of my children's.
I was bored that day. You caught me on a good day. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I've actually made friends when we were at Fort Stewart. Our husbands were on a Korea rotation. This girl and I had never met each other, but she had the stomach flu. She had 3 little kids. Mm-hmm. I had never met her. We just talked on Facebook. I brought her kids to my home, and then me and my family got the stomach flu, and it was the funnest time. But you just have to do uncomfortable things. And it comes back to, will I inconvenience myself for a friendship?
Right.
Because oftentimes the most true, reliable friendships require times where it's not convenient for you. It's not realistic.
Right.
It's not fun,
mm-hmm.
but it's powerful. And that brings me to one of my favorite things I've ever learned in Sunday school was the paralytic man in Capernaum. And
mm-hmm.
his friends wanted him to be healed by Jesus and wanted him, Jesus's presence, so much that they tore a hole in the roof of a home and lowered him into that home where Jesus
mm-hmm.
was preaching so he could be in the presence of Jesus. And it's one thing to say, we're going to take you to the town, and if we get a seat front row, great. If we don't, we tried.
Right.
Or, sorry, Jaycee, I know you're paralyzed, but I can't take you there today because my cat's got glaucoma and it's not a fun day for me. Whatever the excuse, it's just too hard. But they took him there, and
right.
They didn't just say, we're on the same street. We can hear him from out here preaching, or we can see him through the window. No, they used their hands, dug a hole in the roof to lower him so he is in the presence. And because of their faithfulness, Jesus healed him. And he said to him, because of the faith of your friends,
right?
Which means that there is no way to underestimate the power of having people around you that are willing to be inconvenienced, uncomfortable, and what some would see as a burden, because you're worth that to them.
You gave me goosebumps. Can you see? They're only on my legs. They're not on my arms. But you gave me goosebumps on my legs, which are really, really apparent because I really need to shave.
It was the Bible. I'm just reciting what I read. But no, but it's true. And so if you ask yourself, am I a good friend? Because I've asked myself, am I? I do have a hard time with when we PCS. It's hard to stay connected like you once were when you don't see each other every day.
Right.
And you're not in the same town. But I always try to ask myself, if any of my friends called me right now and said, Emily, you are my only hope. I have X, Y, and Z going on. Would I stop what I'm doing and help them? And I like to think that I would. So ask yourself that. And if not, say, what am I prioritizing over being a good friend? What
Mm-hmm.
what time do I value more? What activities do I value more? So ask yourself, what are you expecting from friends that you're not willing to do for friends?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
another.
The golden rule.
It'll hit you in the honey nut Felios.
Honey nut Felios. Nice.
Hit you in the honey nut Felios. Yeah. Because a lot of people expect when I'm in a situation, I need someone to drop what they're doing. I deserve
Right.
that. But then you have to ask yourself, am I that for someone else also, or is it one
Right.
sided?
Right. And it shouldn't be one-sided. And there are times where you genuinely can't make whatever happen. Like if you're in the midst of your own emergency, it's really hard to drop everything for someone else's own emergency.
Oh, 100%. But the day we met, I could have just said, I'll call you an ambulance. And I
Right.
could have.
I did not want that.
No.
But like I said, it was hard for me to accept that help. Like it's been a humbling thing for me and continues to be humbling of the idea like I cannot rely on myself. I have to put trust in other people. And in that day, it was really, really hard to put trust in you because I didn't know you. Like, yeah, we'd seen each other at Pewauk, but I didn't know you. And I am not the most trusting person. And I don't think you should trust every single person you pass on the street. But like you do at times have to put your faith and trust in other people. And I'm so grateful that I did because I don't know, like I said, I don't know if we would be such good friends now if I hadn't done that. And like the love and kindness that you showed me, the love and kindness that you showed my boys in that moment, like it was, I don't even know how to I appreciate it all so much. And I'm so sad that we're getting ready to move. And, Heidi and I have talked about how like some friends are for different phases. And, especially in this life of being in the military, like we are not stagnant. We are constantly moving. We are constantly making new friends. And those friendships that are more than just a phase, you have to work really hard to maintain, especially over distance. And yeah, it's going to be hard to respect your space when I'm constantly like, Emily, hello from Kansas.
Hello. No, it takes a lot to bother me. You know that. But I think what makes our friendship beautiful and what you can kind of apply this to is you were in a season of life where this is so unique to military life. Not only was your husband not deployed, he was here stateside. Your mother-in-law lived in the same neighborhood and your father-in-law. And yet you had one day by chance where none of them could help you.
Yeah, literally no one was available. My husband was in the air flying and I was not about to text him saying, hey, I think I broke my ankle. Can you find a way to land and get to me?
Right.
Like, I was not going to do that.
What are the odds that all of them are unavailable, that one day that happens?
Yep.
And so,
yeah.
God just really, if you allow him to give you a moment in time, he will take something like one day that you think is a play date and have no one else available to give you a chance to create a friendship and trust someone. And I'm going to tell you straight up, the fact you let me drive your car when you know what kind of driver I am now is bananas. Because
I did not know. I did not know at the time that you are blind as a bat driving my car with my children in it.
Oh,
we went Black Friday shopping and she's like squinting in the dark. Like, I can't see anything. And I was like, you will never drive us again.
Heavy emphasis on Black Friday, which means no sunlight. I'm just throwing that out there.
I was like,
and it was like 3 a.m.
I will drive us to Alaska and back before I ever let you drive again.
This is what I say to my husband. But did you die?
No, but somebody else almost did.
But he didn't. He look, that man, bless him, running on the street like there's not sidewalks on this planet. Yeah, no, I think it's so special that in times where we think like, oh, if anything goes wrong while we're stationed here, I have my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my husband, like he's not deploying. I'm gonna be fine. And then out of nowhere, the craziest thing happens. And you simply had to trust. And I'm glad you did. And obviously I had to trust too, because I was like, I'm calling my friend to come pick up my kids. And yes, I know them, but I've never just thrown my kids at them before. We've played together at the
Right.
park. Like I've never said, here are my kids, deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew because I have so much love for them and I've invested in them and them and me, I could say, hey, I have someone that needs me right now. Can you be there for me in this way as well?
Right. And that's such a good point that, if I'm the one in that moment that desperately needs the help and you're helping me, it's sacrificial. What your love for me and helping me in that moment was so extremely sacrificial. And, that's what we're called to do is love sacrificially and to give things up. It's not all about me, 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 me. It's not all about you, 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 you. It's about what can I do for others. And yeah, I'm not trying to get sentimental here, but like you have made me a better person in this time.
Well,
And
I
I'm
don't
so
want to ugly
sad.
cry. Do not. No, 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 no. This cannot be the end of us. We are too cool for that. No.
But yeah, so a godly friend, they're there for you in the good times and the hard times. And they give up their comforts to help you when you're struggling. And it goes both ways. Like, if it had been you breaking your ankle, I would have done it too. Even though I probably wouldn't have been able to get your kids to sleep. I'm really not the greatest with our kids.
My kids
I
don't
try.
sleep.
That's true.
So
They
we
don't.
don't have that luxury. But thankfully, we became friends because I get to dog sit your dogs a lot. And that is my love language is other people's dogs. So
Do you want this dog? He just tore up his bed.
yes, yes, I do. And you won't give him to me. So
I'm
there's that
offering
too.
right now. Tyler might
Y'all
be
don't
very upset
understand.
with you, but
Y'all don't understand. We were at her house and we look over and the dogs are outside and their face is smushed up against the glass and there's not a thought behind those eyes. It's just
nope.
the most.
No brain cells in that brain. It's
Their
just smooth
last
brain.
their last two brain cells were fighting for third place. It was rough. And it was so precious.
Oh. Well,
So anyway.
the last point that he makes for point 5, good friends prove faithful in the midst of adversity, is this pastor, he says, Jesus is the ultimate example of this friend who proves
Amen.
faithful in the midst of adversity. And he gives the verse that most people know. Did you know that I actually had to have this memorized when I was in college for the Corps? I was in the Corps of Cadets, and we had different quotes that we had to have memorized, and this was one of them.
I did not. I just thought you wore those smoking hot boots everywhere.
I mean, only for senior year, but yes, it was called we called it Campos,
Oh.
which was like campus. I don't remember what it stands for. Campus, like origin. I don't know. But they were like, there was like 27 of them, 30 something. There was a bunch of them. We had a little booklet, and this was one of them. It's John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. And obviously, Jesus is the ultimate example of this because of what he did for us. And the fact that he was whipped, he was beaten, he was nailed on the cross, and he died on the cross, and then he rose 3 days later. And there's not many times that a friend is genuinely going to die for you, but being willing to do that for your friends, for your husband, for your friends, for your children, for someone on the street who, I saw this video this morning on Facebook where this lady escaped a U-Haul trailer that her ex-boyfriend had shoved her in. And the fact that the workers in that convenience store stopped him, like, complete stranger. They stopped him, like, mwah, chef's kiss, beautiful. That's what we're called to do.
This is not anything of that extreme or Jesus dying on the cross. Let me preface that. But over the weekend, we were at Disney World, and there is a ride that is the best ride on the planet. It's called Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was in line for it, and the wait said 90 minutes, and then the ride went down, but I was so deep in the line, I was like, I don't care. I'm going to wait. I'm by myself. It's fine. And the ride went down, and me being who I am, I made friends with the person behind me because it's what I do. And Tyler
You and Heidi
texted me.
both. I don't understand how you do it.
Tyler texted me. He said, let me guess, you've made friends with the people in line. But what happened is this father who was so kind, his name was Greg. and his daughter that was 10, they were in line and they were at a conference with his wife over the weekend. And they had a small window where she was off work. She could stay at the hotel with their youngest son, and he and his daughter could come do Guardians. And when the ride went down, his phone was about to die and he was worried. He couldn't talk to his wife and communicate. And I had a portable charger in my bag. And I said, here, take this, charge your phone. And, he's not going anywhere. We're in the line. But he just was alarmed by that. He's like, you're giving me your charger to charge my phone? I said, yes, you have a child with you and you need to
Right.
communicate with your family. Absolutely. And he's like, people aren't that nice anymore. And it
And they
broke my
should be.
heart.
Yeah.
It broke my heart because at the point that me scrolling social media has more value than him having a battery to call his wife to let her know they didn't get in a car accident. They're
Hmm.
okay. The line is just taking longer than planned. Where are we in the world? We've at one point we're at a point where a man died on a cross and was whipped and carried his own cross for our sins. We got from there to it's more important that I have battery to scroll Instagram than you do to keep your child safe and call your wife if needed. And so
Hmm.
when I got on the ride, I did the single rider. So I went before him. He said, "Bye, Emily." He said, "I want you to know you changed our lives today. You were a ray of sunshine." And I'm not saying that to
Aw.
brag. I'm saying that because we're talking about friendships and investing and doing that. But if you do the smallest things and the people in the store with the lady that escaped the U-Haul, you're
Hmm.
going to change the world and you are going to demonstrate Jesus and show them that there is light. There is a light, and his name is Jesus. And I talked to them about church. I talked to them about the Bible studies that I do. We had great conversation. And so hopefully they will leave that and meet someone else and say, hey, this girl, she was talking to me about Jesus in church, and I just want to pass it on. I just want to pass it on to someone else. You never know what that's going to do.
You
So
gave me
that's just
goosebumps again.
encouragement. Girl, it's probably cold in your house. Just
It's
put a
not. I'm
sweater on.
sweating my butt off right
Put a
now.
sweater on. But just be bold in not just having Jesus in your heart and in your quiet time, but live that out with strangers. If they're not going to be your lifelong friend, that's fine, but you can still leave an impression
Right.
in that short window. And then you can ride Guardians of the Galaxy and have the best time ever. But that's a different story for a different day.
Well, that was it. That was the last point he made. And this pastor, he continued talking and, kind of wrapped things up. And I'm not really sure how to wrap this up other than just saying I'm so grateful that you agreed to come on here and be my very first guest. I didn't have to talk to Heidi this week.
That sounds
Like I talk to her all the
awful.
time. Sometimes I just need a break from her. Lord.
Taking a break from Heidi to hang out with me is the most backwards thing I've ever heard in my life. But okay, do you?
No, but I really am grateful that you came on and are you are my first guest, and I appreciate that.
Well,
And I'm
thank
sure
you.
everyone's gonna love you so much that you become a regular guest all the way from Kentucky when y'all move,
Or as
or
my
Tennessee,
son calls
whichever
it,
one y'all do.
King-tucky. It's King-tucky.
Kentucky.
Hallelujah. I did say I would close with a funny story,
Oh, you
and I don't
did.
want to lie to our guests. Um, so this is a reason to give up the bars if you go. Back in our early marriage days, we'd go and we loved to do country line dancing and that sort of thing. And I was skinny, so my husband could twirl me and do all that. And now it would be like dancing with a Maytag refrigerator, but
Oh
that's
my
okay.
gosh,
But
enough.
there was a moment where I was like, I'm going to improvise. And we had a type of dance, like a routine, the steps we would do. And I got a wild hair. I said, I'm going to improvise. And I tried to dip myself, and he was not ready. And there was probably 200 people in this establishment. And when I tell you, I did a trust fall onto the hard dance floor and got trampled like the Lion King when the buffalo come through. I mean, it was unbearably embarrassing. People were like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Tyler, why didn't you catch me?" He's like, "I didn't know you were going to fall." And it was humiliating. So for those reasons, don't go to a bar and don't improvise, because men don't know how to improvise when it comes to dancing. Just don't do that. Please don't.
Your funny
And
story is better than mine.
is it? I want to hear yours anyway.
It was literally just going to be that my children argued over who tooted the loudest this morning.
That's a normal day raising boys.
Yeah, we were getting
Yeah.
them ready for school, and one of them tooted. It was only one of them. Very, very loudly, like grown man level toot.
Your husband was proud, I bet.
And he made a shocked Pikachu looking face.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boys started arguing over, I tooted. No, me toot. I tooted. No, me. And I was just like, oh my Lord, we're arguing over who farted the loudest.
That's
Why?
Raising Boys. And that's on Raising Boys.
Yep. So maybe in a little bit, maybe once Heidi and I finish John, we could do another chapter on or another episode on maybe motherhood and how to deal with boys. Because I need all the help in the world because these children drive me crazy.
I need someone better at it than me because I still don't understand.
Maybe it can be a 3-way with me, you, and Heidi this time. I don't know.
Something.
We'll see. But no, I really am grateful that you came on and talked with me about friendship. I enjoyed it. And I hope that one day you'll come back to me.
Okay. It sounds like you're the lady at home and I'm off at war. Come back to me.
I mean, if anyone's the lady here, it's you.
Well, if you say so.
You wear the skirts and I'm over here sweating. I got like pit stains right now because I'm so hot right now for whatever reason. I have no idea. I hope I'm not going through menopause. I'm too young for that.
Ma'am, okay. As your friend, do less, God bless. Okay. Somebody play the Golden Girls theme song so we can boot, scoot, and boogie and I can get to the dentist.
Okay. Well, we'll see y'all. Actually, just to wrap it up real quick, we're done for a few months. This is it. I forgot about that.
Sadness.
Heidi and I are taking a break for a few months. There is no set date on when we will be back, but my family, PCSs, we moved to Kansas in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 4.
No.
About a month. Yeah, about a month.
Veto, sorry.
And then they move like the month after we do. And so once everyone gets settled. No, Heidi.
Oh.
Heidi does.
Ma'am, I was like, huh? What?
No, Heidi. Heidi's going to be moving like a month or so after we do. And so this is going to be it until I'm settled in my new home and Heidi is settled in her new home. And then we'll be back to hopefully finish the book of John before the end of this fiscal year or this year, because I love John. It's a good book, but I'm tired of talking about it. I want to move on to something else.
You're doing great. You are doing great. Today was refreshing and good and inspiring. And if you don't have a Jaycee in your life, you can't have this one, but you can go find one and it'll be great. Okay. This one's spoken for.
This one's spoken for. You can only have one deep friend. Only one.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Emily.
Of course.
We'll see y'all in a couple of months. Bye, guys.
Alrighty. Bye.